Hello, everyone. It's Friday Takeaway back again, and I'm your host, Stefan Soroka. And today, quite excited to meet our new guest, Pedram Assadi, the CEO of Delivery Hero Europe. Quite excited to meet you and speak to you today. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Stefan, for having me. Equally very excited to meet you and to have this conversation. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you very much. Hey there. Are you craving a taste of the latest buzz in the food delivery world? Then let me introduce you to the new best friend of yours, Bulanga Business Bites, your personal navigator in the ever-evolving world of food delivery. Each Monday, me and my team prepare a summary of the hottest industry news right into your inbox. Food delivery aggregators, quick commerce, grocery delivery, and anything related to the industry that you can only imagine. Bulanga Business Bites keeps you ahead of the curve. Subscribe via the link in description to this video. Stay informed, stay hungry. I'm actually quite excited about this conversation because you have a very, very extensive experience in food delivery. And you worked in different regions with different companies, with different brands. And I think it would be quite exciting if you could share about your journey, please. How you started and how did you end up in Europe, leading the Foodora brand and Yemeksepeti?
So we need to take a few steps back for that to really go through the journey. I was actually at Amazon as a finance analyst, working on pricing models and promotions and very, very quantitative work. When I made the decision to start my own company, and it was back then focused on Iran, actually. What happened back then is that for the first time, the Iranian market and the country was opening up. Obama was signing the Iran deal, which was a huge opportunity because a massive population, 80 million people, very tech savvy and super underpenetrated. So there were not a lot of tech companies actually there. And the idea was really to go there, take the learnings that I had from Rocket Internet, Amazon, and so on to the market, launch something, and then potentially scale it up or exit when the borders actually open for international business. And I did that. I did a quick analysis when I went to Iran to understand the spendings of households. And I saw the three biggest buckets being rent, transportation, and then food. And food being either eating outside or groceries. And for me, I saw that actually, rent is difficult to digitalize or doing anything. And then transportation was already penetrated. So for me, the golden opportunity was to go after food. And eating outside, eating in restaurants is part of also the Persian culture. So that was it. I said, I have to start a food delivery company. Just shortly after I launched, many competitors joined as well. And unfortunately, the Iranian deal never actually happened. So the sanctions were never lifted, which is unfortunate. But after almost 2 years, I was then approached by Uber Eats, one of the global players, as one of the first employees in the Middle East to come and build the operations for the Middle Eastern business. And we did that. We launched in the UAE and KSA and Egypt. And that was also a very good and exciting time. I learned a lot from an American company that wants to expand internationally. Was there for about 3 years, which is when I joined as COO for Delivery Hero's APAC business, Foodpanda. And that was right before COVID, I think about 1 year before COVID. And Asia, we saw very good signals from a macroeconomic standpoint, huge opportunity, huge population, very underpenetrated. So we started to focus intensively on Asia and invest in it, but also innovate and build a team to really 10x the business. And that, together with the macroeconomy in Asia having a lot of tailwind, plus COVID that happened, we more than 20x'd our business in a relatively short time across multiple countries. And it was really it was a very, very big learning experience, and something that all of us, we were working day and night to make that happen, with all the challenges, not being able to, go into the office, scaling up the business, bringing riders on board, keeping the customer service alive, while there were many, many restrictions across many of the countries, right? So it was an absolute learning. It was a phenomenal learning experience. And about almost 2 years ago, we started to, when we analyze all the regions, we started to see that in Europe, we see a very big opportunity, countries with high GDP, but penetration, adoption, and frequency is not where we actually see other regions to be. And I can see the comparison APAC versus Europe. So with that, I really got excited by the challenge to come to Europe and start a growth chapter, to grow and really grasp this untaken opportunity in the markets that we're in. And it's been a phenomenal almost 2 years, a year and a half that I'm here. We've had a very challenging year, but with some really great milestones. Very proud to see how far we've come in such a short time.
Very exciting. Very cool. And so far, since you joined the European team, it's been a rebrand, right? And many new things, like new cities, new markets, new products within Europe. And it's quite interesting to get some information from you around the differences between the regions, right? Because as you mentioned, the penetration of the service itself, GDP is very different. The cultures are super different in Europe versus APAC. How do you see the regions different to each other? And I don't know, maybe one is lagging to another in development, or whatever you see. You're the pro here.
I think what we see in Europe, first of all, is a huge opportunity ahead of us when you look at the population and the customer behavior. When we look at adoption frequency, the great thing about Delivery Hero is we're in many, many countries and regions globally, so we have a lot of knowledge and experience. And what we see in Europe is a big opportunity upside, and the investments that we're doing are leading to that desired outcome that we want, driving adoption and frequency up. What we see in other regions, namely now Asia, is that adoption and frequency is already higher. And there is, a couple of reasons for that we can go into in hypothesis, but it just shows that, the Asian population in many of the countries has been a little bit more adaptive to technological changes, and has driven their spending from offline to online in a shorter period of time. For Europe, for us, what we see is that also, especially because of inflation, has been growing last year, the years before, is that affordability is a very big topic.
Right.
We really want to, and that's one of our key pillars and strategies. We really want to give choice and amazing experience, plus the pillar of affordability. We want our consumers to really find affordable choices, and with that become not just a weekly occasion, but actually a daily habit, to find an amazing experience, get an amazing experience delivered, but also in a very affordable way. When I look at the European region, and we did a lot of market studies, research, focus groups with the consumers before we built our mission, actually, and our strategy and our goals, we identified that consumers want an amazing experience. They want it affordable, but also they want time back. Time is one of the most valuable, scarcest things that we have in our life. They want time back in order to be in control of their day. And with that, our mission, what we really focused on, is to give a fast and affordable and amazing food delivery experience in order to give our consumers time back. And with that time, they can really focus on what matters most to them: spending time with their families, spending time with their children, going to the gym, or sleeping a little bit longer in, or doing nothing. And with that, we actually built our mission statement, which is our mission is to give time back to the consumers through a fast, affordable, and amazing food experience. Yeah, I'll take a pause here.
Thank you so much. Very, very interesting. So basically, it's kind of like the reinvention of Foodora is happening, right? Like with because the European market went through a lot of transformations. It was many different brands, right? And then it was Foodpanda in some places, and now it's all one Foodora with the new goal, new mission. Very interesting.
100%. Maybe I can add actually to that a couple of words. You hit it on the nail.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when I joined, firstly, there were many different brands, and it was quite fragmented in strategy or direction. Everyone was, doing the best within that country view. And it was not easy, but one thing that we did is really bringing the leadership, the country leadership and the regional leadership together. On top of that, we brought our brand Yemeksepeti, which is a very, very large brand, love brand in Turkey, also to the table. And we built the Delivery Hero Europe with everyone in the decision board. And what we then wanted to do is to build a one Europe team with one direction, one goal, with the same priorities as much as possible, and then move that strategy into execution. And you can imagine that's not easy because the way of operating,
100%.
the way of working is different. There's been a lot of processes over the years that were developed, and we had to and still have to continuously optimize and rewrite these processes. And it's always easy to decide and execute without alignment, but then it might not be the best outcome for the whole region. And that's something that we had to do, really rebrand, bring new values, bring new mission, bring also our huge Yemeksepeti business to the table, and then move towards execution. Wasn't without hurdles, but as I mentioned, I'm extremely proud of the teams, everyone that collaborated, and see how far we've come. And it's just amazing that the result of all that work has led us to now growing double digits year over year in all our markets. And that's kind of the result of all the hard work last year. Yeah.
And what are the practices that you brought to Europe from APAC? Because again, businesses are different and your experience is different. And you kind of brought this shakeup, right, to the European team and to the European markets. So maybe you could share more about this transformation and what kind of things you brought from Asia.
Perfect. Yeah, 100%. I think while there is many similarities across the ecosystem from customers, the rider partners, the restaurant or the supermarket partners, we do see some differences. And some of the differences that we saw was in the risk-taking approach of our employees and the teams. I saw a very risk-averse approach when it came to some of the execution and the strategies being implemented in some of our teams. While in Asia, it was, okay, let's take the risk, let's launch it. If it fails, we reiterate it. So one of the things I really wanted to implement in the very beginning was a growth mindset throughout the organization. I do think we had elements of it there, but I wanted to really invest in it and make that a bigger part of our DNA. So, risk-taking, innovating, and then to see if it succeeds, and if it doesn't, and if it fails, then we reiterate and then we scale it from there. There was definitely one thing that came, as one of the changes from the very beginning. And with that, now one of the things that we're driving is that growth mindset, propelling it and pairing it with profitability. Growth and profitability come hand in hand together. One of the DNA and mindsets that we have is, as growth is higher than expectation and budgeted, we have an increased responsibility for profitability. Every time there is a growth metric in one of the presentations, we have to always pair it with a profitability one next to it.
Right. Profitability is definitely on everyone's plate.
Mm.
nowadays, and everybody's striving for it. And big congratulations to Delivery Hero team, all the brands on coming closer and closer to the profitability.
Profitability, yeah.
And quite exciting that all these changes are coming. But at the same time, I'm sure that there are a lot of challenges to also juggle several brands, right? Because Yemeksepeti is a very, very long established brand in Turkey, and it's definitely not easy to combine the European brands, right, and their own teams, but bringing kind of a different region, different culture with different habits on one under one umbrella is also adding a little bit of a challenge to it. So maybe you could share how are those markets different from each other, and how do you manage combining this in this role, this kind of diverse of geographies?
Yeah, great question. They are indeed different when you look at the consumer behavior and how adapted the consumers are on the Turkish platform, Yemeksepeti, versus some of our Foodora markets. But that's the part of the job I really love. It's bringing teams together and building the organization in order to drive benefits and accelerated outcome. And one thing that we're doing amazingly right now is actually there is a lot of learnings in our Foodora markets, which we're taking to Yemeksepeti very, very closely. And there is a lot of learnings on the Yemeksepeti side and a lot of innovation also that we're taking vice versa. So we have very short communication channels and feedback channels across the different brands and operate as one team, actually. Just to name a few examples, we ran an amazing campaign just recently in Yemeksepeti. There was a lot of learnings in there, and immediately that team, we jumped on a call with all our leadership. It was presented to the other side, and then we accelerated that. And the next campaign that we're running on the Foodora side has elements of that Yemeksepeti campaign. So we're really working together. The information is shared, and this way we're creating something like a flywheel where the learnings are constantly put back into the production cycle, and that helps us to grow faster and more efficiently.
Wow, that's definitely a power. And I think that's also like a huge power of Delivery Hero itself, that you have APAC, you have LATAM, you have Europe, and everywhere there is something new. Somebody's trying something in the Middle East and then shares it with Europe, and then Europe is sharing something with Asia, and same goes to LATAM and whatnot. So it's very
100%. Yeah, 100%. That's the part I love a lot about the company, where like there is so many learnings. I think on the one hand, it's giving a lot of space to build and innovate, and that spirit of entrepreneurship is everywhere. But on the other hand, we're like so closely connected with each other. We're constantly on calls with each other. We cross-share learnings, and that's just what really makes the group different than other tech companies, I would say.
amazing, amazing. And something that I wanted to also admit that I think is really cool, working with different people in different regions. It's really cool how you're providing also a lot of space and power to the local teams to innovate, right? So that it's not just kind of top to bottom decision making, but it's actually a lot of innovation coming from the bottom, and everybody has a chance to stand out, and everybody has a chance to try and move something that they have experience with, or they have the idea to do. It's also really exciting.
100%. We're always, reiterating and trying to find the best balance between the two in order not to be inefficient the way we operate, but on the other hand, have a lot of innovation. And that's a constant optimization and iteration. But it's true, there is a lot of innovation. Actually, most of the innovation is really coming from the markets through a project that was piloted and then scaled up. And that's what I really love about this company. For instance, as we speak right now, there is a pilot in Sweden where the team just connected with a company, Tele2, and they're actually now doing drone deliveries operationally as we speak outside of Stockholm from May onwards, and you can get anything delivered 24/7, through drones. And that was purely locally driven with the support of some regional leaders, of course. But that's one example, and that's great. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Congrats on the pilot. And we got some exclusive news here. That's exciting. Congrats, congrats. Yeah,
Thanks.
drone delivery is definitely something I hope we'll see coming sooner than later. All these robots and drones. And actually, this leads me to another question. What do you think about the future of food delivery? What do you think about the trends of the industry in general? Because you have been in the industry for a very long time, right? In different regions, with different companies, you have seen different companies' transformations and their strategies. You have seen the transformations of the customer, of the vendors. How do you see the trends and the future development of the food delivery industry in general,
Yeah.
or maybe last mile delivery industry, right? Because
Yeah.
it has become much more
Food and
than just food delivery in the past couple of years.
100%. Yeah, I would say food and grocery delivery, which we put under the umbrella of quick commerce. For me, if I look at the next 5 years, and I'm taking the input really from the global presence of Delivery Hero in many of the countries we are in, when I look at the next 5 years on a very basic level, what I would say is further adoption, more consumers are seeing the benefits of the service, and then higher frequency that will be driven through the years. We see that when a consumer comes on the platform and enjoys the benefits of saving time, getting time back into a day, having a great food experience, having a lot of choice, immediately it's a very sticky benefit that you have. And one of the things that we're seeing also, despite the increase in inflation, last year, the year before, we see that the consumer behavior hasn't changed. The benefits of the service is very apparent to the consumer, and consumers stay on the platform. What we do have seen is that consumers look for more affordable items, affordable deals, any discounts, for instance, or look for choices that are more affordable, but the service stays and the benefit to it. And actually, we see some increase in frequency in many of our markets, despite high inflation. And inflation in, for instance, Turkey is quite high, right? But we see an increase in frequency and we see more adoption. So I think for me, the next years will be more and more consumers, especially in our European market, will adopt to the platform. That's not going to come without any efforts from the platform.
Absolutely.
So what we're doing is really building. Really, we're just getting started. For us, it's day one. And one of the things we recently launched is Pro, is an ultimate subscription program in many of our Foodora markets, which is, it's amazing because you get a lot of benefits like free delivery and exclusive discounts, better customer service, better customer experience. And that whole thing just drives more adoption and frequency again. I myself use this on an everyday basis in Asia when I was there, if it was like ordering 2 coffees or lunch or actually dinner. So the frequency moved from, a couple of times per month to weeks to actually a daily habit. And with that, I had so much more time back in my day that I was free to do so many more things. I just became a much more productive person. And if you ask me how are the next 5 years going to look like in Europe, that's definitely the path that we want to take. We want to innovate. We want to launch more products that drive more consumers to the platform so that they can enjoy the benefits. And that's on the consumer side a lot. What I see also from an ecosystem standpoint, when we launch new cities, which we're doing quite a lot right now in the European markets, we see that, the rider partners come and enjoy the flexible earning opportunities. So they're like, great, I have my job maybe on the side, but then, I have some additional earning opportunities when I join. But also the restaurant partners and the grocery partners, on average, they grow their earnings through that digital income by more than 20-25% just a few months after joining. So they see the benefits of having a more diversified revenue stream. So going back to your question, I think more and more stakeholders and partners and consumers will come on the platform and will enjoy the benefits of the service. And that will just drive growth for each of them. Time for the consumer, additional revenues for the restaurant, grocery partners, and additional earning opportunities for rider partners.
Amazing. Yeah, for sure. The scale is growing, and definitely I feel it also myself that it has become a part of life, a replaceable part of life, saving time, saving a lot of effort, and just the amazing service that you can get, like something brought within 30 minutes. And I think what is really amazing that it's getting far beyond of just a pizza or a burger, right? You can
Yes.
get flowers, you can get groceries, and what about what do you think about the more kind of classic e-commerce part? Because there are some players who are adding also. I don't know, some you can order an iPhone, or you can order some sporting goods also delivered to you on demand. Do you see that spreading also into this kind of on-demand logistics as a trend?
I would say so. I think there is definitely a demand and shift towards it. Our primary focus the immediate focus is really nailing food and groceries. And then we'll see it like an onion. We really with food on the core, and then supermarket and groceries,
Right.
convenience is the second layer and the third layer. So there is a lot to do still. The customer experience has to be really magical, and the whole ecosystem has to flow, very fluidly. And I think there is still a lot of opportunity that we need to focus on. And then the layers afterwards will have to go through them one by one. We don't want to lose focus. I think if you go back, and I've been now almost 10 years in the industry, right? I think one thing that you clearly see is that the customer experience has improved, or the players that haven't improved the customer experience actually didn't survive. So for us, it's of utmost importance to have customer experience at the center of it, and continuously improve the way that you receive your groceries or your food delivery order. And that's been also one of the focus areas since I took this new role in Europe, to put CX really at the center of all our projects and everything that we do.
Totally makes sense, and definitely it's visible that the whole market is very much trying to improve that and trying to master that, because the competition is just so high, and
Mm.
basically uh, if you don't deliver the service and you don't set up to the standards, basically you're out of business, because your competition on the other side is going to take happily take the money
Sure.
of
Yeah.
your customers and the share. And it's great for us as customers that we're going to be getting better and better service, more consistency, more time, and more variety.
Definitely. No, I agree. And that's awesome, right? We embrace competition, and want to make sure that the consumers always benefit from that. And going back to that, the customer experience part, I think the experiences on food are pretty good, and we need to continuously improve it. Even incremental improvements are very, very important. But on grocery delivery and on convenience delivery, like I think there a lot has to be still done by the industry, and that's the one area that I want to focus on a lot. What we see is, you don't have to have tens of thousands of different shops on the platform. You actually really want to focus on a few strategic players and go deep in a partnership with them, and make sure that the selection is there, the pricing is there,
Yeah.
the customer experience is there. And that's one of our focus. So I don't want to distract by now adding every second shop on the street, but I actually want the focus of the markets to be on having few but strategic partnerships that go deep, that give the consumers, most of the things that they want,
Right.
especially when it's groceries. So what that means, especially now in Sweden, we're partnering in a strategic partnership with the largest supermarket called ICA. And now we're, expanding and really refining the pricing, the selection, the experience. In Finland, actually, we're just right now, as we speak, we're now piloting with S Group, which is the largest supermarket platform.
Congrats.
Um,
That's awesome.
also exclusive content that I'm sharing here. It's
Yeah.
not public yet. So it's the largest supermarket and it's like spreading across the whole country. And we have had many, many meetings with their C-level to really make sure that, you know, the pilots work and the experience is there. So we'll be ramping that up. We have, you know, partnerships with Tesco. We have partnerships with Billa, with Penny across all our markets. So really excited by that new phase that's coming, and the experience part will be key to make sure that the online demand will be coming then next.
Very exciting. Very exciting. Thank you very much for sharing a very compelling answer and so many interesting things. Grocery delivery is very different planet
Yes.
from food delivery, and it has a lot of details in it. And it's
100%.
all
Yeah, actually, to give you one little secret, I did say that my first company was in food delivery, restaurant delivery. My initial idea was actually to do grocery delivery, but that's 10 years ago, and it was too difficult with all the SKUs, getting them live, and the UI UX wasn't there. That's why I said, okay, I'll start first with food and then later potentially grocery delivery. But I think now we're at the right time. Now we're ready. The technology is there. You know, the UI UX is there to build a seamless and magical order experience. And hence we're doubling down on that part.
more things to come, and very exciting. And all of this stuff is being moved by technology and people, right? And technology is also created by people. And you're managing huge teams that are spread in different geographies, Europe, uh, Turkey. I'm sure you have a lot of remote workers who are from all over the world, and different cultures, different big teams. Maybe you could share some leadership hacks, rules, lessons that help you to drive the global ambitions teams to these big goals that you're setting.
Very good. Let me think about that. Managing large teams that are distributed across many countries and functions. One of the most important things for that, and then the team size becomes actually less important, but is to build an extremely strong leadership team. I think once you know you have the leadership team where the functions are clear, the org structure is clear, and the responsibilities are clear, and empower those leaders to actually then navigate the organization and execute and perform, that I think is one thing that's very important. And then second, I think the communication piece, meeting, you know, once a week, twice a week together, and really over communicating with each other, aligning, going through any misalignments, even if there's different opinions. I think that coming together of those different functional leaders or the market leaders is extremely important. Thirdly, what I think is important is, despite of the team size, is to always stay on the ground and understand the different bits and pieces of everything that's happening, doing country visits, doing functional deep dives, but not being too far away and, you know, too far away from the actual happening. You can't be always everywhere, but I think connecting the big picture with the details and the depth is also very important. I think maybe another piece I mentioned it in the first bucket, but I think empowerment and giving space is also critical. When you hire the best people there is, and you bring them once a week together to discuss the strategy, and you align on the monthly and the quarterly targets, then what many great leaders need is space, you know, a
Right.
space to make decisions, space to make mistakes and to succeed, and then to report up. So I think that's probably something where my team has told me that that's one thing that they appreciate, that everyone has, you know, space, and, you know, the leadership style is democratic. Once we align on something, then we hardcore execute on it. So that's important. But I think to wrap it up, hire the best team, the best leadership team in a clear organization where responsibilities are defined, and then bringing them together on a very, you know, frequent basis to align different directions. Not staying too far away and aloof, but being also on the ground, visiting the different teams and, you know, checking in and probing and challenging and stressing. But then lastly is also giving space for the different leaders to execute and then doing the mistakes and doing the successes and then reporting up. I think those are elements that I can think of off the top of my head.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Pedram. Thank you very much for your time and for the great content and a lot of news that you shared. It was very exciting to me and to have this wonderful conversation with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Stefan, for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you guys for listening. Hope it was interesting for you.